Hey everybody, welcome back to another episode of the Ben Thomas Show. Thanks for coming back. Today we are going to take a look at this Batman the Animated Series character, Harley Quinn. Damn am I excited. But if you guys like this video, make sure you just hit the like button for me, smash the subscribe, and let's get into it. So as some of you fine viewers know, I have been toy hunting for Batman the Animated Series characters. Now I saw this figure in my Another Dimension Comics video earlier posted in the channel, and I didn't buy it because of the price. But then I started looking around and realizing that in order for me to get all of the characters, or as many of them as I can find in my toy hunts, I'm going to need to spend a little coin. This gal was expensive. It's Harley Quinn, of course, from the animated television show Batman. The box artwork is virtually the same as what we're getting out of the Adventures Continues line, except that it's red versus orange. Like I've said in previous videos, the packaging's a little bit boring, I'm not going to lie. But I have noticed that with this figure, as I started to unbox her, there were some things that I could not see through the figure window that I'm really excited to share with you guys, because honestly, it amped up the value for this figure for me, but also explained the cost a little bit more. I did have one note though. While unboxing this figure, right before I got the clamshell out, I did notice that on the back seam, where I normally run the knife down the side in order to take the figure out of the packaging while also preserving the figure packaging, I did notice that there's a slice of tape on the back. Clearly this figure has been opened before. Now, normally it wouldn't really bother me all that much because I do take it out of the box anyways. But I do want to note that previous comic book stores and collectible stores that I've been to have marked down pricing and noticeably on the packaging when a figure's been opened in the past. This store didn't. They sold it like it was a brand new figure, and I just happened to not notice the tape slice on the back of the box. So always be careful for that. If that's something that bothers you guys, really keep an eye out for it. You probably already do, but lesson learned for me. I'm not going to take it back at this point, but I wasn't totally happy with the comic book store. Now the figure does start to shine as soon as you slide her out of the plastic, which is, of course, tradition. You can see that the twist tie is still intact, both at her feet and at her waist. I'm hoping that means that even if this figure has been unboxed in the past, it at least has never actually been taken out of the physical plastic. There was, however, another slice of tape holding this fish down, and I'm not sure if the tape comes with this packaging or not. I haven't had enough of the old school animated series figures to know for sure. So if you guys listening know, does it come with tape holding the fish down, or is it a compression fit like I think it should be? You let me know in the comments below, just so when I talk to the comic book store, I'm not being inaccurate. Either way, I'm excited to get this figure out, take a better look at her, so let's get her out of the plastic. Now, having this figure in hand, she is really, really light and really delicate feeling. I will say that. She does have things that work to her advantage in terms of her articulation. Her arms do raise. You can turn her head completely 360 if you want to. Her arms do bend at the elbows, and of course her hands do twist just because they are on pegs that can be swapped out later. The arms do raise up pretty high, but I will say that she suffers from the same issues as some of the other animated series figures have, and that is possible paint wearing by essentially breaking the paint seal. When you bend the knees, when you bend the arms, you notice that clearly the paint has sealed the joints together over time, and you really have a clear resistance that it doesn't want to move or pose all that well. Now, the reason I say this character specifically you need to be really careful is there are seams, like at her elbows, that bend only in one direction. If you bend it the wrong way, you will 100% break her arm, like definitely. So be really careful. Same goes for her knees, same goes for the under portion of her arms. They only raise up so high. So just be really, really careful. I'm also concerned about paint wearing over time, especially in the crotch region here. The more you put her to maximum pose, the faster this plastic paint is just going to start to chip off and peel, so just be really careful with that. The other thing I really like about this figure is how narrow her hips are and how close together you can make her legs look. It makes her look really like a screen grab from the animated television show. It really does. It brings the figure to life. Instead of just having kind of a standard stance with this figure, you can make her look extremely feminine in her posing just by bringing her feet together and essentially standing her up, which is really, really cool. I like that a lot about this character. And speaking of characters, holy cow, are there still a lot that I need to find in my toy hunt. You can see that, of course, again, this is the first lineup of these guys, and so I don't have this Batman or the Two-Face. That Catwoman's beautiful and Mr. Freeze. I have the Joker and I have the Robin, but I don't have Man-Bat, I don't have Poison Ivy, and I don't have anybody on the bottom line other than Harley. So I've got some toys to hunt down, and even with the Adventures Continues line, I clearly don't have them all. But I told you there's some surprises in the box, and this is one of them. This figure comes with its own figure stand and flight pole, which is a huge upgrade to the newest versions of these characters that are being released that don't even have a saucer base. Something that you can just make sure with the narrow stance that these guys have can at least stand. They knew we were going to have a hard time standing up this figure, and instead of just being like, well, that's all you get for $30, they actually included a premium base. And I even love the look of the base. I think it's really neat. It's just unfortunate it doesn't match any of my other figures, so I probably won't use it. Which means, honestly, my alternative solution, because this figure doesn't even have a hole in her foot for a foot peg, I use blue tack. And blue tack for me has traditionally worked extremely well. I've never had any paint transfer from blue tack. So for me, at least in my current Canadian climate, I do recommend it. But just be cautious if you're trying it on anything that's a slightly more premium scale, or Hot Toys, for example. Just be careful. She comes with a pretty decent array of hands. I do like that the hands actually hold the gun. They also hold the fish, and I'll show that later to you in some photos that I took of it. But I thought that was pretty cool. These hand pegs also slot out of this figure in particular better than any of the other animated series figures I have. I'm not sure why, but just be careful because the wrist pegs are still obviously extremely delicate. The fish is really cute, it's well painted. I did notice that there's a little bit of scuffing on the back side, so again, I'm hoping that's not because it was a second-hand fish that got taped back into the box. But it's not a deal breaker. The paint on these are notoriously not that great, so I'm not too worried about it. The gun that it comes with is cute. Again, it's kind of funny to see little guns with figures like this that are honestly meant for kids, especially with now some of the controversy around weapons for even premium 6-scale figures that you get to see. But I gotta say, this figure is actually really fun. I think the natural poses that you can pull off with her legs look really, really good, especially with the sticky tack below. I definitely recommend that as a solution, other than the figure base, especially since the other figures you can get don't have those bases now. I think it's cool that she can hold the fish. I think it's cool that she can hold the gun. Again, because of some of her posability and her range of movement, you can get some pretty dynamic poses out of it. The figure hands do open, so you can push the gun in. Just be careful of the fingers, because I do think that they might snap off if you're not careful enough with it. But I'm really happy with the quality of the figure. Again, I'm surprised that she came with a figure base. I like that she's got the accessories. She's got more hands than you can see from the figure window. And what is Harley Quinn, of course, without her Mr. J? And the Joker has been a lonely figure in my collection for a while. He now has Batman, he now has a Robin, and of course, he has his Harley, which is amazing. And so I would 100% recommend this figure. If I had to rate this figure, I would likely give her a 9 out of 10. The only spot she loses a point for me is that she can't stand very well by herself, but that's just by nature of the design of the animated series. She can't have big feet, so it's the way she goes. I think the coloration on the outfit is on point. I love the accessories. Her articulation is pretty good considering, and the size of her scale is on point with the rest of the line, and I think it's perfect for exactly what I needed to pair with the Joker. But I'd love to hear what you guys think. Do you dislike this figure? Do you like this figure? Is this something that you would consider buying? Would you hunt for one if you're at a store? Or would you let it pass by? I'd love to hear from you. If you guys like this video, hit the like button, smash the subscribe, and I'll catch you on the next figure video.